I made 3 huge mistakes in my first ultramarathon, but those mistakes also changed how I see running forever. I'd been fundraising for the hospital that looked after my cousin before she passed, and that promise led me to a 90-kilometre ultramarathon in the middle of December on the stormiest day of the year, and let's just say my preparation was far from ideal. The moment I finished, the colour drained from my face. My friends recalled me being so pale they were genuinely worried for me. My family was waiting to celebrate at the pub. I could barely finish a single pint of Guinness, which obviously amplified everyone's worry. At the time I thought, well, that's just what happens when you run 90 kilometres. But I've since realised it was not at all the distance, it was entirely due to my fueling. Specifically, I just didn't eat enough. I think throughout the day I had half a pizza, a handful of sweets, some trail mix, and about 3 or 4 Rice Krispie carb bars. I just honestly didn't feel like eating anything more. But the thing is, during a marathon or an ultramarathon, your body can burn up to 90 grams of carbs an hour, and I was barely taking on even half of that. So by the time the finish line arrived, my glycogen stores had been completely depleted, my blood sugar levels had tanked, and I was running on fumes. I had nothing left. So inevitably, my body just shut down. My second mistake might just be the most avoidable one. I just simply hadn't trained enough. My mileage was too low, and I didn't strength train at all. The result? My knees, back and ankle were wrecked. I hobbled through Christmas like a 90-year-old. You see, most ultra runners run between 60 and 100 kilometers per week at a minimum. I barely broke an average of 30 kilometers. To put that into perspective, I now run marathons semi-regularly, and if I was training for a marathon and averaged 30 kilometers per week, I would have no hope. Research also shows that strength training alone can reduce your injury risk by about 50%. So basically, I hadn't prepped my muscles, I hadn't prepped my joints, I hadn't prepped my ligaments, my tendons. No part of my body was ready to be running that amount of distance. And I can promise you, my joints reminded me of that every step of the way through the festive season after the run. And finally, the mistake that compounded everything. I never trained my gut. 90 kilometers of jostling around and trying to take in food at the same time, and my stomach just couldn't cope. I'll spare you the details, but let's just say I spent the night anywhere but my bed. What many don't realise is that your gut is trainable just like your legs, and you need to train it. Most skip this, which is why 60% of endurance athletes talk about having gastrointestinal distress throughout their races. By practicing eating carbs on your long runs, you train your stomach to digest food whilst moving. And that is key so that you can keep your energy up and not have any breaks at the bathroom. But I obviously completely skipped this step. I don't think I ate on a single training run throughout my entire training block, which means at one point I did a 50-kilometer run without eating. Not very smart. But either way, skipping it meant I paid for it later. Luckily for me, my stomach had the decency to wait till after I'd finished my run, which unfortunately is not the case for a lot of runners. But because of it, I didn't get a wink of sleep that night. I was up out of bed and to the bathroom 10, 20 times throughout the night. It was horrendous. Those mistakes nearly ruined my first ultramarathon, but weirdly, they also rewired what hard means for me, because after that 90 kilometers, now even a 30-kilometer run feels like nothing. But if you really want to see what happened on that stormy December day, you'll have to see for yourself. Click the video on the screen to watch the full ultramarathon documentary.